my babies. I am so excited to see y'all today. Thank you so much for deciding to tune into my very first episode of my old show, In the Kitchen with Khalilah. I want to take this opportunity to get to know each other. Is that all right with y'all? Good. Here we go. Growing up in New Orleans, there's two things that are embedded in your DNA: music and food. These things are something you recognize from a little bitty kid. Whether it's walking on Canal Street with your parents, doing your shopping, smelling the food wafting out of the restaurants in the French quarters, driving down Diamond Road where you can smell the Bunny Braid factory, going over the Chef Mentor high rise where you can smell the coffee brewing. All that is embedding into you when you're from New Orleans. I resided in the night ward until I was 11 years old. We had some mishaps, in our family. It wasn't the greatest childhood. So when my mom got out of rehab, we decided to move to the country. Amite, Louisiana to be exact, which is very rural in St. Helena Parish, with my grandmother Willamette. And this is where my love for the kitchen blossomed. Seeing my grandmother get up before the crack of dawn, kneading that dough and that buttermilk for those homemade biscuits, smelling that good, thick-cut bacon, the kind that has that hard, crunchy, crackling rind on the end, frying in that cast-iron skillet, her coming in out from the backyard, grabbing fresh yard eggs from her chickens. All that just lit a fire inside of me, to the point where anytime I heard pots rattle, here I come, running into the kitchen just to watch her work. From her homemade biscuits, to her collard greens, to her red beans and rice, to her baked chicken, whatever she cooked, she put her heart and her soul into it, and you felt her love pouring into you with every single bite. Growing up as a black girl in the South, you know that when holidays come around, it was your time to get elbow deep into the kitchen also. Whether it was cutting up the fresh seasonings, the onions, the bell pepper, the celery, the garlic, or even picking the meat off the turkey necks for the cornbread dressing, cutting up the smoked sausage for the gumbo, cleaning the gizzards, just seasoning the turkey. Anything that you can do to help, you were hands-on. So that's a little bit about myself, and I hope you guys enjoy my episodes of In the Kitchen with Khalilah. Throughout these episodes, I want to teach you guys or show you guys recipes that are near and dear to my heart. Recipes that my grandmother has taught me, my mother has taught me, my Titi has taught me, and even my parent, who was a chef for many, many years at one of the most renowned restaurants in New Orleans, Brennan's. So come on in my kitchen and let's go on this journey together. I love y'all. Now on to the show. When you want the food, in your life. Hey, my babies. Welcome to In the Kitchen with Khalilah. Today we're making a New Orleans favorite, crawfish bread. We're going to get started after this break, right here on Taste on TV. Welcome back to In the Kitchen with Khalilah. So for those of y'all who've never heard about crawfish bread is actually a very popular snack during our festival season in New Orleans. In New Orleans, festival season just happens to coincide with crawfish season, which makes this dish even more popular. One of the biggest festivals, namely being New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Fest. If you ever go to the Jazz Fest, you got to make sure that you get these three things: crawfish monica, a mango freeze, and crawfish bread. So now let's get to the ingredients. Or as we say in New Orleans, let's make our groceries. So this is what you're going to need to make this delicious crawfish bread. You're going to need 1 pound of peeled and deveined crawfish tails, 2 cups of shredded cheese of your choice. I use Colby Jack. 1 cup of yellow onions, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of Creole seasoning, 2 tablespoons of onion powder, a 1/2 cup of chopped celery, a 1/2 cup of bell peppers chopped, a 1/2 stick of butter, 1 8-ounce block of softened cream cheese, 1½ tablespoons of mayo, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, a 1.5 tablespoons of minced garlic, 3 tablespoons of fresh chopped parsley, a 1/2 cup of green onions, and a capful of liquid crab ball, and also a fresh loaf of French bread. Okay, so let me tell you why you want to make sure that you use French bread. What makes our French bread is so special is that it comes in a long baguette, but it's on the outside is real crispy and crunchy, and in the inside you have that soft, fluffy center, which makes for the perfect combination of crunchy and softness that melts in your mouth. First, you're going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Next, you're going to take your French bread, which you have cut in half evenly, and you're going to spread your 1½ tablespoons of mayo evenly on each half. Once you get that all spreaded, you're going to set that aside. So you want to take a cast iron skillet preferably, or your skillet of choice, and put it on medium-high heat. And what you're going to do first is take your 1/2 stick of butter and melt it in your preheated skillet. Now that you've melted your butter, you want to add your onions, celery, and bell peppers, which we like to call in Louisiana our Holy Trinity. You want to cook that until it's opaque, which means clear in appearance. That's going to generally take about 3 to 5 minutes. We're going to add the garlic. And saute that with the onion, bell peppers, and celery until it's nice and fragrant. And then next we're going to go ahead and saute in our crawfish tail. So we're going to sprinkle with our Creole seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder, and we're going to let this saute and cook. You generally want to let this simmer on medium-high heat for about 8 minutes. Yeah, I cooked for 8 minutes? Mm-hmm. Gotta let all this cook. You can't just be rushing your food. Stuff gotta marinate. And the flavors got to get through it. Allow the flavors to combine together. After you let that cook, your last step is going to be, you're going to do a capful of liquid crab boil. That's going to give you a little heat and a little spice. After you add that, you're going to add your softened cream cheese to the skillet. And you're going to let that melt all the way through. Once you have your cream cheese fully melted, You're going to turn off the heat and then bring it back to your bread for spreading. So now that you've got your mixture completed, you want to take it back to your station to where you have your bread. I have my bread set on a ungreased baking sheet, and you want to divide the mixture and spread it evenly on both halves of your French bread. So guys, just make sure that it's really spread evenly throughout, and next you're going to top it with your cheese and your garnishes. Alright baby, so we got that all nice and spread it out evenly across the bread. Make sure you don't see any white because you want that good flavor in each and every bite. I'm going to sit that aside. Next we're going to stir with our cheese, and you're just going to sprinkle lightly. You can use a little or a lot. It's really up to you and how cheesy you want it. Just make sure that you do it evenly. Top with your chopped green onions. And your fresh chopped parsley. So once you have everything assembled, everything is spread and garnished, you want to bake it in your 400-degree oven for about 10 minutes or until your cheese is melted and golden brown. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the oven, and we're going to see the finished product when we come back on In the Kitchen with Khalilah, right here on Taste on TV. But it was not an easy task from a little girl. I have a cousin that teases me to this day about how I burned rice as a teenager. Now, here's a funny story about my very first Thanksgiving as a wife. So I get up that morning preparing, I'm about to cook for my man. And I get up in there and I got my greens cut up and clean like my grandmother taught me. And I got the ham out and I seasoned the mess out of the ham. Can y'all believe that? I seasoned a smoked ham. What in the world was I thinking? So here I called my Tita back home and was like, okay, Tita, I got this done, I got this done, and I got this done. And I already seasoned my ham and put it in the oven. Oh my God, the laughter and the wail that she let out on that phone. Girl, if you don't get your behind up in there and snatch that ham out that oven and rinse it off before all y'all be laid up in there dying with high blood pressure. Y'all, I was horrified. I had no idea. You couldn't tell me I wasn't doing something. So I got the ham out the oven, rinsed it off, and this is what she taught me, her infamous Coca-Cola brown sugar glaze for the ham. And baby, Thanksgiving has been popping ever since. So here we are. Throughout the years, I have learned how to cook. I've perfected my craft. I even at one time owned my catering company in Ponchatoula, Louisiana. On In the Kitchen with Khalilah, I plan on bringing you on a fabulous food journey with me. A food journey that is going to be like no other. Recipes that are near and dear to my heart that I want to pour out into you. From yaki meat, shrimp and corn bisque, seafood stuffed bell peppers. And if you're really nice, I might even like to give you a peek into my traditional New Orleans gumbo. So come on into this kitchen with Khalilah and let's get this thing cooking. Show them what their wrist work do. Now on to the show. I love y'all. Bye. So now that your bread is done, we've taken it out the oven and we've let it cool for about 5 to 7 minutes so that the cheese and everything can join back together. And you want to cut it into about 3 to 4 inch slices and put it on a tray to serve to your guests. This is perfect as an appetizer with football season coming up to serve to your guests. For something to snack on, for birthday parties, they tend to love it also. Or even if you just want something to have to snack on for movie night. Well, there you have it, my babies. New Orleans style crawfish bread. Let's try it. That's some good food, Jack. I'll see you next time on In the Kitchen with Khalilah, right here on Taste on TV. So I have one more thing I need my babies to do for me. Grab your dish towel, your handkerchief, and let's roll this thing on out. Bacon grease on what I like to call liquid gold. Dark meat usually tends to be juicier and more flavorful.